Right, we back at you with another banger. In hopes that we wouldn't say it first, but truth must be told.
And the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under it.
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flow letter. Peace.
Young
Guarantee
TV.
you. Hit that like.
Hey, we want to thank y'all for tuning in with us, man. We about to get it cracking. We're going to have Skype at the North Gate, Chief Pontiac in the building. Tonight's class is Birthrights is in the Mitochondria, right? Because we got to ask ourselves, do we go with religion or do we go with science? And like I say, I go with religion when it lines up with science. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's lined up with science, it's science. So we're gonna play this clip that this receipt or clip that Rod wants us to run before we come on. But like I say, we're gonna be talking about the clan mothers. We got a tape coming out on the clan mothers and how the clan mothers are picked through the daughter line, and the clan mothers have the power to pick the chiefs on the land, and the clan mothers have the power to say nay to the chiefs. He go Raw right here. Hey Raw, I hope I got the right clip because it was at the buzzer beater shot, man. So I hope, is it that one with the girl talking on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got the right one, I think. All right, so let me run that. Then I guess you could go in on that. I got a couple questions dealing around the topic because it goes around. Because we got a lot of people. Some people just asked a whole bunch of questions on other tapes that gonna be going along with this tape, and I added those questions into the notes as well. We'll be getting into that, and then we'll be taking notes from the crowd because it's important to understand your birthrights is in the mitochondria, and people talking about the land because like Raw was telling me tonight, people talking about the land, but we didn't never sell no land. We ain't never do like the way they talking about how they spin up the land. We didn't do it like that. So we'll get into that. But let me roll this clip, y'all. Hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. This is about to be a banker. Stay tuned, y'all. Let me get that clip roll, Rod. Here we go, right here.
They are trying to convince us through reverse psychology that we are God's people when we're actually God. On today's episode of History is a Lie, none of that shit actually happened. Did you know that Judaism didn't become a formal religion until 70 CE? Everybody doesn't understand the CE, BCE thing, so I'll put it a different way. Judaism didn't become a formal religion until 40 years after Jesus died. Allegedly died. Not to mention, Hebrew wasn't a formal language until 130 years after Jesus died, allegedly. Meaning there was no way he was Jew and there was no way he spoke Hebrew. Furthermore, if Hebrew and Judaism don't exist until after Jesus is dead, they obviously don't exist before he lived. Despite the fact that we are given Jesus's patrilineal lineage, despite the fact that Jewish lineage, descent, inheritance, and heritage comes from the mother, despite the fact that that lineage goes all the way back to Abraham, who is deemed the father of Judaism, who would have lived almost 2,000 years before Judaism is a religion and 2,200 years before Hebrew is a language. Yeah, it's all lies. We are not Jews. We are not Hebrews. I don't know who them people are, but it's not us. The reason I know that is because the written past is their intended future. And the current present is the real past. Which is to say, that's some brand new shit. And we're not brand new, we're real old. They gave us their religion so that we would curse ourselves. Remember, a curse is a malediction. A malediction must be written or spoken. The Bible is the first massively produced book ever, with the publication of the Gutenberg Bible in 1455. They're lying. None of it happened. If they can convince us that they have withheld from us some grave secret, which is our identity as the Hebrew Israelites, then what will happen is that we will create the Old Testament. We're in the New Testament. I know it's confusing. What I'm suggesting is that their goal is to get us to exile ourselves. Their goal is for us to leave the promised land and part the Red Sea and believe that we are going to the promised land while we are in the desert. It's all lies. I can't stress it enough. Everything is a lie. There was no Aristotle, there was no Plato, there was no Socrates, there was no Greece, there was no Rome, there was no ancient Egypt. Obviously, those places may have existed in terms of the physical landscapes, but in terms of empires, they're lying. All of it is a lie, and not just the history, the science, the math. More than it being a lie, it's reverse psychology. It's reverse psychology. Your oppressor tells you who you are, and you believe it for long enough that you believe that your oppressor is hiding who you truly are from you. Whole time, you are neither who your oppressor told you you are or who you believe they hid from you that you are. You are God. That is on the back of the dollar. It is the apex, the head attached from its body. It's the chicken running with its heads cut off. Connect back with yourself so that we can rise to heaven. And the reason why this ultimately will break the matrix, and the reason why they don't want this to happen, and the reason why it is the game that is the chess game that they are playing, they are hoping that we never abandon the story, right? We never learn the reverse psychology, because when you realize that you are God, you realize that the devil cannot oppress you because you created the devil. No one can oppress you unless you give them the power to. You are not a slave. You are a prisoner of war, and the war is spiritual. Go win.
Hey, she dropped the mic on that one when she walked up. That was fire, and I won't retire. Hey, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We back at you again with more news you can use. Birthrights, mitochondria. How important is the mitochondria? Hey, Rod, we like that. You want to touch on that a little bit, or you want to go to the?
Oh yeah. I was just waiting down there. I was letting her cook. Remember, I told you. I said the New Testament was written after the Old Testament. I mean, the Old Testament was written after the New Testament. Right. The New Testament was written first, right? And the Old Testament was written after the New Testament, right? Now, remember, the book they was reading was not written in Hebrew. It was written in Akkadian, which is the Babylonian language, right? So the sister telling the truth that none of that Abraham stuff existed in Abraham's time. Like it wasn't no Abraham and Jacob and Isaac. All that's some made up crap. So the Bible, the way that it's written, well, first of all, you don't know who the writers are. That's where the problem come in. But if you go back to that era, you know, based on the history they gave us, it was only about 100 literate readers and writers. They was all scribes or priests. Right? Most people didn't read and write according to the history they gave us. So who doing all this writing? Who is they beholden to? Right? When I tell people we was not Jews, Christians, or Muslims or Muslims, none of that before 1492. Now you understand what I'm talking about. Because they wasn't even who they claiming they be in the book that they claiming is the word of God. And here's the thing. If it's the word of God, it's supposed to have some mystic powers that when you open it up, you can sense the power emitting. If it's the word of God. Because if you one of us and you go to one of them pyramid complex, you're going to have a surreal experience. Right? But my question always be, before you ever open that book, prove to me it's the word of God without using the book. Then the reverend say, well, why would you tell me I can't use the book to prove it's the word of God? Because in that book, it says, he who testifies of himself testify of a lie. So you can't use the book to verify the validity of it as the word of God. Otherwise, you're using the testimony of the lie based on what's in the book. So we got caught. Yeah, so we got caught up in all of this religious dogma. Remember, Noble Drew Ali got a chapter in the Circle 7 called Religious Controversy. Right? Why you put that in there? What do it mean? You understand what I'm saying? So if we was none of that stuff before 1492, what make you would be think that we was any of that stuff in 2024?
Go ahead.
Look, if somebody tell you God chose a particular people over all of the people of the earth, that God ain't from earth. Because there's no way that an earth God with the whole of the earth at his discretion gonna create a people, any people from anywhere, and don't have a place for them to be before he created them.
All right, go ahead.
We're talking about a God mind. We're talking about somebody that's always prepared to create something new, right? And to have a contingency available for the circumstances of the creation. So he got these people wandering in the so-called wilderness of the earth for 4,000 years looking for a place to call home. When he created them, wherever he created them at, right? This is going to tie right into the mitochondria in the earth matches to the women that matches to the birthright. If he created a group of people from the clay of the earth, that what it say? Did that what they told us? That's the lie they told us, ain't it? He created these people from the clay of the earth. Test your DNA to the clay. If you don't match, you don't fit. right? Now, they don't tell us that you can match the DNA to your home land, literally, because the people ascribed to the homeland is part of the physical earth that they emerge from, right? So who is these people calling Jews that they God promised to rob somebody of their homeland and give it to them? That didn't think they would need a place to live before they was created. Now that's just some shenanigans to me. You know, but the reason why the DNA traced back to your homeland is because your mother's line, mitochondrial, heritable blood right, is tied to the land you from through a frequency of mitochondria that matches this microorganism equivalent to mitochondrial in the soil. They'll have 23andMe giving you a DNA test for an iguana telling you he half Irish, half African, half Arab, and half Chinese. That's too many halves to begin with.
It's a fact what you're saying. It's a fact what you're saying, because I'm gonna tell you, go into a little bit more depth. It was some scientists that did research on the area where your mother live at, and when she having you in your womb, she breathing in the dust particles from that area, right? So those dust particles help form the physical vessel of the child, from those particles that's in the air, from the light particles and the dust particles that's floating in the air in the area that you're born in.
You know, Baba Malachi York talked about that in one of his lectures.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's where I got it from. I heard Baba say it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about how the sinus cavity is used to filter and sift through the soils of the in the air in order to build the building blocks of the child. The mother's body is the construction site while she's pregnant. That's why women have those big noses when they get pregnant.
It nose be wide open. Hey, I was looking at the mitochondrial cell. It looked like a baby carriage, or like a baby, like a baby carriage with like an S or a snake inside, like a serpent being. And that goes to this to my first question. Now they say that we have a reptilian side of a brain, and they show the man with the tadpole. They show that's the reptilian part, right? But they don't show the reptilian part of the woman. And why do the woman's fluid smell like fish and all that? Like it's connected with this fish.
Well, if she smell like fish, she need to go to the gynecologist.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like it smell like seawater. Like
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like it's a fish man, right? Not like that part, So what is the connection between the mitochondric and the reptilians? Is it like, the mitochondric DNA going back to the nomos beings?
Look,
you got anything on that?
No, the mitochondrial is the frequency of love energy. It's literally the frequency of love.
Go ahead. That's deep. Go ahead.
Okay, mitochondrial got more purposes than scientists want to tell you, because it's through the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, that the genome determines how to put together the anatomy of the developing fetus.
Facts. That's facts. I studied it today. I read it on that today. Don't it also determine? So don't your cells in your body make the copies from the mitochondria?
No, the mitochondrial, it gives the cell the permission to exist.
Go ahead.
It's like giving your heart permission to beat. You get that through mitochondria. All these bravado male chauvinists that want to be mad at women for being heirs to earth, they some idiots. Because if the woman, when your mama leave, if you ain't found a wife you got a short order of time to find you a sponsor for your mitochondria, or it'll turn off on its own. They just call it, in the old days, they call it shrivel up and die. That's what they call it. Whenever you do something antagonistic to the matriarchy, then your mitochondria will get turned off. It's going to look like you got a severe case of AIDS or drug addiction, but you won't have none of that. You just don't have a functioning, operating mitochondrial frequency. It's been turned off. So you shrivel up and die. There's no power going to the DNA.
So would it come down to the mitochondria passing down to the male child? If the male child have a daughter, really, so it's gonna pass from the mother, no matter what, it passes from the mother.
Yeah, she gonna get it from her mama, not from her daddy.
Yeah, that's right. So
now,
go ahead.
They got something called mitochondrial syncing. We call it women hiving. When the mother got a son that's a real good dude, she really love him, she will co-host his whoever he dealing with to give him a daughter. Right? A man can't have children unless his mama and whoever he make babies with subconsciously agree in the network.
Hey, I heard something like that before, Roy. I heard some old people say something like that.
It's so hard for a male child to be born that most of us don't realize the gift of heaven to earth that we is when we sell ourselves to become other than a man. Look, I got a you on mute, Elder. I got a post I did on Facebook a while back, and it literally have a thing, and it says every awakened woman is a Tesla coil.
Go ahead.
The problem is the women who fought wars and the men they fought with and against created a condition where the woman deviated from the expression of mother, wife, and daughter and became emasculated, or emasculated, I should say, into a warrior woman to do what the man was supposed to be doing in the first place. But you got outside forces using the cover of religion to convert males into feminine males or alternative lifestyle type males.
Go ahead.
Right? So then it throws the balance off on the other spectrum. If you have this many feminine males, you got to have a corresponding collection of masculine women in order to maintain balance.
Go ahead.
So homosexual males create aggressive masculine lesbians, what we call them butch dykes. Right? This because of the extra feminine male. Nature is compensating in the female sector by giving them studs. Right? And this is because everybody supposed to have somebody that they can love unconditionally without all of the influence of the society telling you how your relationship's supposed to work. We talking 50-50 relationship conversation, right? Ain't in a real relationship, there is no such thing as 50-50. There's no such thing as 20-80, 70-30. In a real relationship, it's 100-100.
Right. That's
it's 100-100. Ain't no I'm hiding my cell phone from my wife. If she's my wife, she can answer it. And if the whoever on the other end want to get out of line with her, they're gonna have to contend with me. Answer the phone with respect and courtesy. Well, if I let somebody answer my phone, give them their respect.
Right.
Period. I don't got time to look. I'm too old to be creeping through alleys and crawling through windows trying to sleep with somebody else's woman. I don't want nobody else's woman.
Yeah, I got my own.
I don't even want a conversation with a chick that tell me she got a boyfriend, a man, a husband, a none. I don't want to be entertaining her because that's not my job. That's his job.
Right. Go ahead. That's fact.
Right. Real relationships is if you all in and I'm all in, we all in this together. We gonna take the bumps together. We gonna take the bruises together. And then when we get done winning, because I'm not losing, I don't care what you say.
Right.
I'm not losing. So when I get done winning, we gonna break bread together. We gonna count money together. We gonna go to the shooting range together. We gonna go to the sauna together, the hot pool together. And if that other chick want to get in, she got to go through her.
Yeah.
I'm not finna be wrestling with no internal conflict about who is my counterpart. I know who the counterbalance is for me.
Facts. Big facts.
So if you want to get in, you got to match her frequency with her. You ain't got to worry about me. I'm easy peasy.
Yeah. Right.
If she green lights you, you got the green light. If she red lights you, you got the boot. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But see, all of the dudes trying to be slick and call themselves polygamists, and they really trying to be undercover pimps.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
They just don't want to use the word pimp because they want to use the love and light community as they cover story to pimp.
Right.
Right. That's not. I mean, you got to understand the pimp game if you want to understand how to keep a house full of women together. But you don't have to be out there making people do nefarious things under the pretense of spiritual awakening.
Yeah, they realize
that's so you can have. Yeah, that's not the game.
Yeah, they're
somebody running the game on you. They not giving you the game.
That's right. They whoremongers. We got a place for them.
Well, I don't got no problem with nobody living their life how they choose to live it. This is what people find hard to understand. When I tell people stuff, I'm not trying to change your mind or your life. I'm just telling you, this is what I have come to discover. If you agree, we can have a conversation about it, and I can take you deeper down the rabbit hole. If you, excuse me, if you disagree, you got a full 100% right not to agree with me. As soon as I think everybody supposed to agree with me, I'm self-delusional at that point. If nobody else can't have their own opinions and their own mind to think for themselves, right? I'm trying to be a cult leader at that point. And not a cult leader in a good way. I don't want if everybody can think for themselves, we won't have half these problems. The problem is all of these people are talking about, I don't need no leader. And they life in shambles. They don't got no emotional self-control. Their emotional IQ is pure idiot. And their intellectual IQ is off the charts because they got PhDs, BAs, associates, masters, but their emotional IQ is retarded.
That's big facts right there, right?
Yeah. All of the wealth of earth comes through the motherland, right? If you inherit through your fatherland, your sister is your administrator. She is your executor of state. This is why the pharaohs used to marry their sister to keep the wealth in the family. And everybody looking at it from modern perverted perspectives because they thinking it's about sex. Because they think everything is about sex and money. It's not always about sex and money. Sometimes it's about power and control. Sometimes it's about, I'm going to rule over you, whether you want me to or not, versus, come on, y'all, let's overthrow this tyrant. And all of the moral judgments that we give, where we learn that shit from? When did we start deviating from nature as our guiding force? for telling us what's time to move, when we supposed to plant our crops, right? When we supposed to harvest the crops. Nature's supposed to be the one telling us. You don't see nobody in the middle of December or January with no plow talking about they about to plant their garden. So nature got to be somewhat right. But all of a sudden, we don't listen to nature no more because somebody said, God said, and then they put it in a book and said, all the stuff you see me doing, don't do none of this because I'm God. You only do the stuff I tell you you can do. Now, that's not, if it's above question, what Malachi say?
Say it.
It's beneath me. If
Right.
I can't question it, you can have it. I don't need it.
Go ahead.
As soon as you take away my right to be concerned about what you telling me and what it means to me in my life and the people that I'm going to be tending to as a patriarch in my family that supports my matriarch, I don't have time for you.
Right.
Preacher come knock on the door, say, we 7-day Adventists, we'd like to come have a conversation with you. I say, you probably don't want to have a conversation with me.
Right.
I'm the wrong one to come to have a conversation with.
Right.
Right? Because when you get done having a conversation with me, if you don't, you're going to find out how many facts that you don't have about what you say you believe.
Right.
Because I be investigating stuff just to be doing something. You know, I got a lot of leisure time on my hands, you know, waiting on this sleeping giant to fall. He already been zapped. He done. America fell, y'all. Babylon is gone.
Hey, Rod, you going right to my next question that everybody's asking in the chat, and this is a big question everybody been asking. And we'll get into the other question about the birthright in the land. But people, we served the eviction notice, and actually they've been already left the building already. Rod had already told y'all they boarded the place up a couple year or two back. We had already told you that. But we just put out the Big Mama's eviction notice, and people think that the government is still in business, and that they don't know about that these people are putting on. They got this thing where they can film at these different locations. Could you break down some on that, how they filming at these different locations?
You remember when we did that show with Miss Dean a couple years ago?
Yeah, Walking with the Ancestors. Yeah.
And I was telling her, I was like, we at the part now where the government gone, but the people don't know it's gone because their military is playing out a psychological operation using political satire.
Go ahead. I remember you saying that. Go ahead.
Right. Now, the whole thing comes full circle. They played out 3 chapters of Revelations in the last 4.5 years. And they the latter chapters, the fall of the whore of Babylon, which was the character that them Kamalas was playing, right? She was supposed to miserably fail. That's why she failed miserably, right? Because the whore of Babylon has to fall to signal the final fall of Babylon, homosexual pedophile priest cults that's trying to convert the whole world to pedophilia, child sacrifice, cannibalism, right? And bloodletting rituals to the detriment of all of the children that's being born. And if they wanted to get the whole world on board with it, I don't like it. I don't agree. And all of the people that don't agree like me decided enough is a damn enough. Right? In order for evil to succeed, good men need to do nothing. Sometimes you don't have to do nothing, you just have to say something.
Go ahead.
Right? And this is the reason why all of the tribes have the oral tradition as the default, because most people are going to get so caught up in the written word through social engineering that when you drop in the oral tradition as the pretender to the throne to reclaim Big Mama's seat for Big Mama, right, as one of her children, and you just want the stuff to run efficiently and correctly, but they trying to tell you something that they don't know nothing about. See, first you have to figure out what's the standard for the oral tradition. It has to be in a recoverable format. This was the origin of the written word. The written word wasn't the authority. It was the reminder of what was said by the authority. That's where your law books came from. Most of us don't know that the author of Black's Law Dictionary, he was indigenous over here. He wrote the Black's Law Dictionary to expose the fraud of the corporation because they wouldn't give us any terms, definitions, and explanations. But they kept case files. And he used everything they said to define the language they were speaking, and then he put it in the book. Before that, the only dictionary was a small version of what became known as Bouvier's Law Dictionary, right? And it was just a pamphlet with only a few words from a couple of cases. But when the brother Black got done putting it together, they called it Black. I think that was his last name. Anyway, when he got done putting that book together and telling us everything we need to know, this is why they don't want you knowing legalese. Because ignorance of no excuse is going to be put out as the maxim of law. What do that mean? Right? A maxim of law is an idea that you keep in the forefront of people that's affected by the law, so they'll always know ignorance of the law is no excuse. You take the maxim, it becomes like a slogan of law, letting you know that when you come in this courtroom and don't know nothing, we don't care. We don't give a damn if you illiterate, if you handicapped, if you mentally deficient. We got a remedy for that, and we got a test for it called menis rea. It's the determining factor for culpability and guilt. The ability to determine coherently right from wrong. Menis rea. Right? That's what it's called in law. So when they say he doesn't have the menis rea to be punished, they saying that his level of whatever insanity was so egregious that even if he was wrong, he had no way of knowing he was wrong. Right? That's what they call guilt by insanity. Because remember, the Pope did these papal bulls. He said that he was taking control of the realm of the earth because there was no competent mind to handle the affairs of the people. So he would take his up on himself and his responsibility by papal bull to become the custodians of all of these people lacking in the menis rea of the law and the system of governance that they fall under. Most people don't know America is the final continuation of the Babylonian Empire and that Rome was just the median. They think that the Roman Empire is the source, but they're not using Roman blood magic, Roman money magic, and Roman sex magic. They're using Babylonian. You can go look it up. It's in the Talmud and the Mishnah, which is the book that they was going by before the Old Testament was written. See how that come full circle, Elder? And they talk about sodomizing the boys and raping the infant children in the Talmud and the Mishnah. That's why they don't want the goy, the common people, the chattel, reading it. Because some of y'all mamas would be reading that talking about, I'm not going to send my child to these people. right? But then we talking about foundational documentation overriding any of the speculation that followed. Go to the source. Why you think Malachi translated everything word for word? Go to the source, right? They got all kind of tools, electronic tools to aid and assist you now, right? If you don't know the Catholic Church wrote Islam, you really are totally blind to the function and operations of religion.
Go ahead.
80% of what we call Islam ain't Islam at all, but Arab culture.
Go ahead.
The appropriation of culture was infused into the conquest by methods of religion, where foreign people can impose their culture on foreign nations in order to convert them. By converting them, they surrender their birthright.
Yep.
Why do you think they have something in the church called the Nativity of the Christ?
Go ahead, break it down, Rod.
We're gonna do one better.
Colonization.
Can you Google? Can you pull something up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go to Google and type in Nativity of the Christ. We're gonna look at it. See, this is where the whole nationality as the ruling concept and the determining factor as to your birthright. But it's not, nationality is not the ruling factor. Heritability is the ruling factor of your sovereignty. If you're not an heir to sovereign status, you can't exercise sovereign status. Because to exercise sovereign status, it overrides any national outlook that they can present before you. A nation is a corporate substitute for a tribe. A nation is a corporate substitute for a tribe. This is why when they go into international court, they not arguing international law. They arguing law of nations because it's corporate. They not arguing law of nature, divine law. That never come. Divine law and laws of nature is never hardly used in court. When they was using the self-defense defense for murders and things, the self-defense was you can't override the first law of nature, self-preservation, right? And the second law is the preservation of one species or one kind through procreation, but it's also by defending others. When you put the first and the second law of nature together, then you can't tell me I can't defend my wife and children because I'm going to blow up the whole army about man. I'm going to take my bare hands and peel your streets up and boil your city up and sling it to the stars. I'm going to be roaming down the street, swinging from lampposts, pounding on my chest, letting them know you're not doing that to man. So all I do now is I stay out of everybody's way. And the reason I stay out of everybody's way, because I know how I am. Because I know how I am, I got to first protect me in order to get me in enough position that I can protect the ones I care about. So then you have to follow the law of success by being constructively selfish, tending to the needs that you have to get you where you want to be in order to be the type of service that you choose to serve. If you can't take care of you, how the hell are you going to take care of a clan? Right? We had, like you said, we got the people talking about when we going to get our land back. Don't nobody own the land. We caretakers of the land. Right? We caretakers of the land.
They birthrights to get back the land. That's what people was asking. Like, how do they use it?
It don't work like that.
That's what I said. Go break that down for him about the
Look, this is what it boiled down to. Everybody that got a family is supposed to have a family farm. Members of the family is supposed to feed the family from the family farm by sending different members at different times of their life to do their internship on the family farm. But now, since they gave us this narrative of slavery to follow as our historical record, and we done deviated from the cultural aspects and the old ways of the tribes, we out here now running from ownership of the land. We never owned the land. We took care of the land. The settlers came with their ownership papers, right, from their salvage rights and their admiralty jurisdiction. The Uniform Commercial Code is the book that's supposed to keep them all playing the same game under the same rules. But when you playing a cheater, a pirate, right, a known liar, and you don't have the contract in writing, he gonna cheat every chance he get because you don't know. You don't have the mens rea to perceive the fraud that he's running on you. Therefore, you fall under the category the Pope gave you as an imbecile. You an imbecile in law. You're not fit to handle your own affairs. So we talking about ownership of the land. Nobody own the land. You don't own earth. Earth own you. Your position in place on the earth is organized by the circumstances of the earth in order to get the right people to the right place to be caretakers of the land first. When we stop taking care of the land and start letting them overrun the land and do as they want and chop down all of the trees and burn down all of the villages and poison all of the water. When we did that, we forfeited our right until somebody come along and say the only way we're going to get our right back as caretakers of the land is to say enough is enough. Somebody got to speak for all of the collective tribes without having a preference for any of the wartime strategies of divide and conquer. Right? Once you understand what they're doing with the divide and conquer, they use science. They use science and the actual validity of a scientific fact as a justification to hate somebody. That's foul. Because now you got to worry about obedience to authority, to the wrong authority. Did you get to find that, Elder? You pull it up?
Yeah, I got it. It won't let me pull up. I can read it right here. It says, damn. It's two different ones, but the one I think you looking for.
We're going to read both of them. Read both of them.
Because the nativity of Christ is the birth of Christ, which is described in the Bible, Gospel of Matthew and Luke. The event of the nativity are considered to be the heart of Christian celebration. Now, this one, so let's deal with the nativity. Now, this one right here is, I think it's coming from that the word nationality. Nation is all stemming. Etymology of it is stemming from this word nativity. And it says nativity is one of the many words born of the Latin verb nasci, which means to be born. The gesture of the word was a long one. Nasci developed in the late Latin into nata, meaning birth, which passed through Anglo-French as native, before entering into English 14th century native. I guess that is stem into nationality and all that, I guess.
Yeah, because they had to make nationality as a corporate fiction.
Go ahead. Yep. So
right. So the nativity of the Christ is to deceive you about the birth of the Christ. Where is the deception in John? Because he named both John, he brought Matthew and he named Luke.
Yep.
Okay, now why is he using these two books?
Yeah, because John is the main guy. Them two guys were
but no. You're going too far. Bag up. They have the genealogy in two books. What two books is his genealogy in?
Matthew and Luke.
Okay, now Matthew and Luke gives the genealogy,
Yeah.
but both of them is the genealogy of Joseph according to the Christian world.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they got different relatives in the lineage.
Yeah.
Make it
Right.
make sense. So now it's telling you there's a fraud in the nativity or the birth of the Christ. Now let's find the fraud.
Go ahead.
The term mama's baby is what to Papa?
Daddy, maybe.
Right. Now, why is that important when looking at the nativity of the Christ?
Mitochondria. Mary was
Because the only common denominator in the nativity of the Christ is the motherland.
Yeah, because Joseph didn't even know it was. He didn't think it was his son.
It wasn't his son, and he told you it wasn't his son.
I know. To my like, but even in the Bible, it plays out like that. That he didn't know. It plays out like that.
Well, according to the Christian world, Mary came up mysteriously pregnant.
There you go.
And they said that she was overshadowed by the Holy Ghost.
Go ahead.
That's what they said.
Go ahead.
Right? Now, we had to stop there because we had to define Mary. Who is Mary?
Go ahead. We go to big.
Where we get Mary from?
Go ahead. The mother.
Mary is Ty Mary.
Go ahead.
Type Ty Mary in your thing and read what it say when I get. So Ty Mary means the land of Mary. Where is Ty Mary?
It's pronounced Ty Mary, which is pronounced.
It's Ty hyphen M-A-R-I.
Yeah.
Or M-E-R-I.
Like Tamaray.
It's starting to click. I hear your synapses making connections now, Elder.
Yep. Hey, look, that's Big Mama land. Hold up. Damn, why the hell they?
Okay, now you got to remember why we talking about Mary. The Latin definition for Mary is rebellious woman, but it was adapted from the Greek, Marie.
Yeah,
right.
Marie. Yeah.
And
right.
and they got it from Kemet when they called Egypt Ty Mary. They didn't call it Egypt. They didn't call it Kim. They called it Ty Mary.
The land of Mary. Nana's land.
Right. Now, if it's the land of Mary, where do Mary live at? On her land.
Go ahead, Rod. I'm trying to find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mary, on her land, she lives in the most lavish of the palaces. Big Mama house.
Go ahead.
You always know Big Mama house because it has a picket fence in front of it. But in the ancient times, they was colossal pillars.
Go ahead.
Pull up the picture of the Temple of Dendera. You can't show it on there right now.
I gotta reset my computer to get it where it'll show because it won't even pull it up because I had to right before we went on, it started doing what it do, and I didn't get a chance to fix it.
All right, now remember,
hold down computer.
The Romans stole the sacerdotal seat, Big Mama's seat, and seated the Pope beneath Big Mama's seat. Right? Now, the land of Mary was called Ty Mary, but the home of Mary or the house of Mary is also called the lighthouse.
Go ahead.
Why do they call it the lighthouse? Why do they call it the lighthouse?
Because is it dealing with the ejaculation of the foul
no.
I know
at the top of the
lighthouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Pharaoh means lighthouse, but the Pharaoh is not the man. When we talking about Hatshepsut being the man Pharaoh, the Pharaoh has never been the woman. if you look the etymology of Pharaoh up in the Egyptian codex, you find out that it literally is a feminine word, and then they used it in ancient times in reference to the Pharaoh's wife.
Go ahead. I'm gonna take
The
that up.
Pharaoh's wife is the one who gives him his ability to rule by blood right.
Now I heard that. I heard that part because that's why they got the statues with the woman standing holding her hands on the male like this, right? If you look at most of the statues before they came in for the Europeans,
You know the statue you see with the brother got a woman on each side of him.
Is that no, that's not the one with Osiris. That's because that's Osiris and Horus.
I think it's Ramses. He got two women.
Ramses the second, right?
Right. He got one on each side of him.
Yeah.
And the reason that he have one on each side, that's called uniting of the two kingdoms.
Okay, go ahead.
Remember, Egypt was split into Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Right?
Yep, that's right.
There's two different kingdoms that was ruling simultaneously, and it was unified under, I think it was Namnar when he overthrew the Hyksos.
Okay.
No, Namnar is supposed to be the first pharaoh.
No, it was Agmos and Cogmos. They Tukut-the-Rate To's son. The Agmos, well, it was Cogmos went after the dude first, and then once Cogmos.
No, I'm not talking about the priest wars.
No, I'm
talking about the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. But when
okay, all right, yeah.
So once they unified
it was Antanankin that did that, wasn't it? Once he went down, knocking all the gods and stuff down. Was it Antanankin?
No, that was the priest wars.
Okay,
that was priest wars. That was the wars that was going on in the pharaoh's harem among high-ranking matriarchs that argued the dispute about
the gods,
whether the gods should be seen in the public or whether they should be concealed.
What was the pharaoh name? I know who you're talking about too. That learned out in Upper and Lower Egypt. Remember his name, bro. Shit.
Okay, so look, they once they unite them, it had to be what's called a sacred marriage. A sacred union is the only way he can unite two kingdoms. That means he had to bring a wife from both kingdoms under the same roof. And they have to be on board with it with him. So in other places, in the modern secret society terms, it's the marriage of the red house and the blue house.
Yeah, Dozer. It might have been Dozer. Imhotep's pharaoh.
I don't remember. I don't want to go over it into detail and to be the wrong ones. But anyway,
research on this.
Right. So the term pharaoh is actually properly translated as the woman of the house. She is the light of the house. Right. Because it's derived from the tribal practice of the mothers tending to the children and the father protecting the grounds and being a husband on the land. We think a husband means she just married a man and now it's her husband. Husband is an actual distinct title that carries a lot of responsibilities under the function.
Go ahead.
If a woman is married and they don't live on a farm, she don't got a husband. She got a corporate union now.
Go ahead.
She don't got no husband. She tricking herself because the government tricked both of them. The marriage license is a permission slip from the corporate government to merge two corporations under a common interest.
Facts.
Right? And notice what they call it, a marriage.
Good.
Right? And the reference is the age of Mary. How old was Mary when she gave birth to the so-called Christ?
13, they say.
Right? So if you go back to just to the 50s, almost every state, the legal age of marriage was 13, but the legal age of sexual consent was always variable by state.
Go ahead.
Some states, the age of consent was 12, others it was 18. In all of the ages in the middle, right? Now remember, in Mexico, they have something called quinceañera. The quinceañera is the woman announcement by her family that she's mature enough and that she is trained well enough to become a bride. So now they present her and bring her out to the public so she can take on suitors to determine what family she's going to merge with. Now, in the other parts of America, in the English-speaking part, it was a sweet 16.
Go ahead.
Right? Which was for the same purpose.
Yeah.
And the girl got to pick whoever the hell she wanted.
Go ahead.
Right? And they normally taught her the one that can be the best husband is the one with the farm. The ones in the city didn't know how to get married.
Go ahead.
Those were your stags. Those were your bachelors sowing their royal oats among the harlots of the city. So that's why they ran us all out the country. So they can mix us all up and confuse us about the structure and the order of the natural life of the land.
Hey, Fourth Elder said that Nanar was the one that united Upper and Lower Egypt. Nanar, Menes. I think one of his name is Menes, right? Fourth Elder.
Namar is Namar's name.
Yeah, no, I think one of his names. I think Doc said one of his names was Menes too, or he called him Menes or something like that.
Well, some of them changed their name. Like his name probably was something else before he became the ruler. Then he changed his name.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the problem came in when you had people with different cultures imposing their culture against the will of the people that don't want their culture. Right. And this is how you had the conflict in Egypt. Right. So we go back to the uniting of the two cities, the Upper or Lower Egypt. And the reason why you see the man with two wives is because he's governing over two kingdoms, two bloodlines, two royal bloodlines. And he is the most qualified man to keep the balance between the three. A two-ball game. Right? And the women have to know which role they play in order to assist him in activating the birthright that they have through their mitochondria, because they the source of the wealth.
I remember a long time ago, you told me to look up the rules of a longhouse, and it just came back to me today. And they was talking about, reading about the clan mothers. And it was saying that the clan mother have power to pick the chiefs. They pick the chiefs from when they born, and then they also watch the little boys as they growing up to see who would be the best leader amongst them, and they pick that leader. And they got the power to make him to impeach the chief.
Yeah, the clan mothers can get together and say he's not doing a good job as a chief. We put too much on his shoulders, remove him from his position and take his duties from him and hand them to the people that's best. Under the matriarchy, the rule is the most qualified person to fulfill the function must perform the job until another qualified person comes along. Either you're going to train one up to replace you so you can retire, right? Or one of them, the matriarchs is going to give instructions. He going to train himself to be better than you are so you can retire. But you can't go nowhere. You obligated to hold that post until your replacement in ability to carry on the function to the next level, or at the minimum to maintain the successes that you carry. Right? That's under the matriarchy. That's the rules.
Right.
Just because you got a PhD, you might still not be qualified for the position that you went to school for.
Right. That's damn sure right.
You got a bunch of educated fools out there.
Another thing, man, I got a question for you. I noticed that because Doc was teaching about this, that in religion it's mostly stimulated towards the mitochondria in the mother, like as far as the shape of the buildings with the mosque and the churches
Well, it's a
having
lot of sexual overtones to religious constructed buildings.
right.
Like the minaret is a phallic symbol, but the dome of the temple is a mammary gland.
Go ahead.
All right, we talking Baphomet,
Yeah.
balancing the masculine and the feminine to become the goat.
I remember also you broke down in DC how the layout is built like a woman, how that obelisk is coming up out of is like looks like a
Yeah, that's supposed to symbolize. Okay, so what you're looking at is the obelisk is coming out of what's called the Vesica Pisces.
Okay, that's right. I seen that.
The Vesica Pisces is also an ancient yoni symbol.
Okay.
Which is also the Christian fish symbol.
And it looked like a vajayjay too.
Yeah, that's the yoni.
Fish, yeah, the fish symbol. It's dealing with. So go back to what I was saying about the women's,
Look, that ain't right. I just smell like fish, sardines, tuna, but they got something going on down there that ain't right.
That's funny. That's funny she said it. But okay, so yeah, so the whole DC really. So
Brother Love say his other name. Brother Love say his other name is Menez.
Yeah, Menez. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I heard Doc say before. Now, so it stands the reason that if they were laying all this architect based on the woman, and because I remember you telling me in order for them to set that DC up, they had to get the approval of the matriarch and the woman based on how they laid the whole layout.
Or usurper.
Huh?
Or usurper. Lie on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's the sweetheart swindle.
Yeah.
Mary Big Mama poisoned her off and say she told you to sell the land.
Yeah, lying bastard.
We all know that's some BS because all of the chiefs say you ain't supposed to sell, we can't sell you the land, we don't own it.
Yeah, we don't own it. How can we go sell you something?
So they wrote paperwork that said they own it, that we was delusional and instituted the salvage right. Yeah. And the squatter's right is a byproduct of that.
Colonialism in its highest form.
Yeah, and it falls under the discovery doctrine as first right of discovery.
Yeah.
But how the hell you discover it if we already here? They said because there was no royalty over here, we were savages.
Yeah, facts.
That was the consensus of Lewis and Clark after the expedition because all of the chiefs was gone to Florida.
Fighting. That's right.
We went south and east. They went north and west. Came back and reported that the crash site was much bigger than they thought it was when we crashed our landmass into their ship.
Yeah. Crash.
That's what I'm about to say. Remember,
y'all bastards, boy. I'll tell you. Man, like this is what I was trying to figure out. I know that they ain't have no land of their own, so they wanted to take everybody else's shit. But it's saying like, man, what kind of beings are these that don't want to, trying to go off and do for self? They want to just take everybody else's shit and make everybody else suffer. Like, I mean, we know devils, but they got to be worse than devils, man. They just won't give up, would it?
The devil just mean enemy.
Yeah, no, adversary, right?
Yeah, the opponent. That's you against you.
Yeah, right.
You're your own devil, and you your own savior in the same body.
That's right. That's right.
It's your perception that determines which one you're gonna be.
That's right.
Right, and the noble heart. I mean, the noble character betrays the golden heart of the royal ones.
Right.
They naturally behave in a manner that makes them respectable. That's their nature.
Right.
Right. And we got all of the platinum group medals among the human family when we talking about character of heart.
Right.
And the weaker ones are the lesser metals, the iron and the lead. It's all about perspective.
So how important is the mitochondria? And say like, okay, what we eat, preserving that and keeping that, because Doc was talking about how the mitochondria can study record and study adapting and changing. and with the genetics and who you mix with and all this, it affects the mitochondria. Could you go in on how important it is to keep that mitochondrial, the food you eat or whatever you do, it affects that mitochondria? Is it something you got some on that?
Look, okay. In order for the DNA to upgrade itself,
okay,
it has to have some kind of program of self-analysis.
Mm-hmm.
This self-analysis is done through the powerhouse because the powerhouse was absorbing and re-emitting the membrane information from the epigenetics from the membranes of the cell. So the membrane of the cell talks to the center of the cell where the mitochondria is powering the DNA chains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And from the membrane, the crystals in the DNA is telling information to the mitochondria. Over any group, over any period of time, you will see similarities in the genetic changes that takes place gradually.
Mm-hmm.
Because the women are steady assessing the men's Y chromosome, and this is why it's only one of them.
Right.
Right. You don't have 3 Y's and 1 X. You got 3 X's and 1 Y. And the Y is lacking about 30 to 40% of the genetic information as an X.
Right.
And then you look at it under the microscope, you will see that the Y is really a mutated X.
Go ahead.
Right. So the mitochondrial is the computer that scans the genetics in order, when the solar flare comes, you're going to know what I'm talking about, in order to upgrade the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you look at the other way, how do it change other than gradually? Sudden changes due to solar events. This is what they tell us that happened in history.
That's right.
All of the DNA that ever changed was interfered with by radioactive UV rays from the sun throughout history.
Yeah,
in all species.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, the DNA is programmed to perpetually repeat itself through the RNA DNA sequence and resequencing.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
Right. Why do the DNA have to break into 2 RNA strands and go find 2 other RNA strands to recombine and reform another DNA strand? This exchange in information that one strand had that the other strand didn't.
Right.
Right. And so once you understand how it's working, then you understand how it works and what's taking place within the biology of the self. So as they say, man, know thyself. When you study yourself, you study the universe. When you study the universe, you study yourself.
The big question they have is which is older? Is mitochondrial older than the man? If mitochondria come from the mother, is mitochondria older than the man?
Look, it was a time when there was no Y chromosome. So that tell you that the mitochondrial is older than the man. That's why the man can't pass it. The part that was required in the genome for the man to pass mitochondrial is the part of the X chromosome that's cut off to produce the Y.
Man, look, we need to record that and play that shit to 10,000. The little clip you just said. We need to cut that clip and play that shit 10,000 times like they do all them other broken badass musics that they play 10,000 times and make us end up liking. Right? We need to cut. Hey, you just did a drop right there, man. You just did a drop. You might need to say that again. That's a heavy duty piece right there, man. That's a heavy duty piece. What you just said right there.
Now look, the Y chromosome has less genetic information than the X chromosome, but the male is naturally more muscular, right? And they coochie fell out in the uterus.
Go ahead.
So they coochie fell out because the mama activated the Y chromosome. Pushed the coochie out and made you, instead of you having ovaries and the clitoris, now you got dick and balls. Right? But all of the zygotes of every child that's ever in the womb is always female first. So if you was a female in the womb before you was a male, you got to know that the woman was first. Genetics prove it. The history prove it. The earth record prove it. And the fact that men can't pass the mitochondria will tell you where all of this coming from.
Hey, that's what I asked brothers earlier, because I asked brothers this question because I thought about it. I said, what would you pick? If you could pick 40 acres in the mule or the coochie, which one would you pick? And a lot of brothers say, oh, I'll take the 40 acres, right? And the old man told me, he said, well, if you, because I was thinking I've been slick taking the 40 acres, man. Like, I don't know, because they put us in this mindset. But he said, okay, so he said then, but the other man picked the coochie, right? But the man that picked the land, he ended up dying out because he couldn't produce no kids without no coochie. So the man that took the coochie inherited the land. His kids inherit the land. Because the other man that took the land, he didn't have no coochie, so he couldn't make no kids. The children are the inheritors of the land by way of the mitochondrial DNA through the mother. That's why they after the kids, and that's why they after the mothers. I'm telling you, man.
Look, what's the purpose of a bar mitzvah and a bar mitzvah?
Go ahead. Let me hear what you
Right. Those are graduations from childhood into adulthood.
Yeah.
That's what they call Judaic tradition.
Right.
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 And age for the bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah is average 13.
Right.
The boy now inherits from his family members giving him his start in life when he turned 13.
Go ahead.
He is responsible to sit under the elders at that point and learn his manly responsibilities in taking care of his family.
Yeah.
The female is the suitor now, and she's supposed to sit and be instructed until she get a man on how to be a wife.
Right.
Once she get because she gonna pick, and she gonna be coached by the women in her clan to pick. But when she pick, the man then have another responsibility. Any man that ever hook up with a woman got a responsibility to assess what she know, right? What she don't know, and how to cooperate with you. Anything that she know that's beneficial, you make sure you enhance that. And anything that's detrimental, you have to let her know. Right? And like a lot of women don't know that dressing provocative automatically is creating a hostile environment for the man that she say she love.
Yeah.
It ain't that he don't want you going out a certain way, but if you go out a certain way, it makes it more difficult for him to serve you and protect you and perform his duties. You're going to keep him fighting all the time.
Right.
Right. But if you respect him, then you carry yourself in a respectable manner that you keep him from having to bust heads.
Right.
Right. Me, I don't really care how she dresses. As long as she happy, I'm happy.
Right.
Man, I don't got no problem with busting heads.
Right.
So it don't matter to me. But the way that everything is structured now, the single women is more modest than the married women. And that doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be the other way around.
That's facts, bro. You're saying a lot. Could you break down the mother-son connection with the Mason, the mitochondria, the information being passed down from the first teacher being the mother?
Everybody know that.
Yeah. Right.
It's in everybody's doctrine, whether it's implied or whether it's overt. In the Old Testament, it's a wisdom is justified of her children. right? In mystic circles, they say wisdom spills from the mouth of the mother and lands on the heads of the babes, right? All of them know that. This a very popular book called At the Feet of the Master. Who you think the master is, mama? Right? And this is the origin of Ma's son, the Mason. The son who sat under the mama to get the wisdom in order to override the intelligence. Because the intelligence alone will make you despotic, but wisdom will make you more attentive to the needs of the collective. So the child that the father picked, he ain't gonna be the one, because he gonna have too many character flaws that if you bring him to his attention, y'all might get into a fight. But the one that was under the guidance and direction of mama normally wins out because he's approaching things with a wisdom's view as opposed to an intellectual linear logic view. I mean, he's seeing from multiple directions the same thing everybody else seeing, but they're only seeing it from one. Right? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it, you can't use it. And wisdom is the ability to properly apply the knowledge in places where you didn't even know it apply until you tried it out and it worked.
Hey, y'all, we'll take some questions from the crowd, man. We got about 30 minutes. Hey, we'll take some. Hey, y'all got any questions for Rod containing the title? Because a couple people said they had questions. We'll take a couple questions, man, because we on fire right now, man. We in the zone on this mitochondric DNA, the matriarch rules. Man is not older than mitochondric, man. And then show me one man. I got into some debate with some Hebrews, man. I said, man, y'all, they talking about what Adam was the first man. They still telling us this Adam. I'm asking them, did Adam have a belly button? You know, well, we don't know.
If you really want the truth, they don't know if Adam was a man or a woman.
Go ahead.
If you really want the truth, they don't know if he a man or a woman until they pair him with Eve.
Go ahead.
Before that, he's just Adama, meaning he's from the earth.
Yeah.
He earthborn. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what the name Adam means. He's from the earth, from the soil of the earth.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe the rib they talking about was a parthogenic birth. And that Eve was really a daughter helping her mother out.
Go ahead.
As a developing tribal leader. I'm just, giving you an alternative perspective to look at it.
Yes, the Hebrews say they teach it. It's the father line. It's everything's from Jacob. It's the father. We can get into all the paradigms of Yaakov and all that. But I'm saying that what they teaching now on the streets is that your father, they overlook religious. It's all like about some religious clans. They overlook blatant facts and science just for because it said right here in the book. So is it possible that book could be wrong? Oh, they see God ain't wrong. And even if you present the evidence to them, they still say, oh, they override God override. If the grass green and God said it's blue in the Bible, that's what it is. That's blue, man. You got to be tripping, man. You talking about some science and all that. You going off too deep.
That's myopic perspective of looking at things.
Yeah.
And the belief that a person holds, it comes out in his character as a character defect if the information is defective.
Go ahead.
Right? So when we look at them books, and we in 2024 negotiating and debating something that the people that is being talked about had no clue it was even being written.
Go ahead.
Because the majority of the story was written years after the so-called death of the so-called person that they talking about. under the matriarchy, we was warring tribes, but we didn't go to war. Vice lords is a comment in the
Yeah, I see it.
section. So vice lords and GDs, vice lords is the parents. The children is gangster disciples, cobra stones, peace stones, black disciples, devil disciples, Satan. All those is the babies. Vice lord is the mother clan, or what we would call it in a way where you can understand it. The vice lord line is the master bloodline across the land, and it's represented by the colors of black and gold. The children off the father's side is the blue house. The children off the mother's side is the red house. And then you have all of the children becoming to their own, and they draw their own families. And then you have other clans start to trickle out of that. Right? Like Big Meat's a 50 boy, right? But he come in through OGs that had ties to these groups called BKs and Fleeings that don't exist anymore. But for the time that they was here, they left offspring as children of a clan, right? And then these offspring form their own clan, and this is what they call gang banging. When somebody try to form his own clan, he's going to always meet with opposition. This opposition that he's meeting with is testing his grit and leadership to determine if he's worthy to the soldiers in the field to be a general that they can take instructions from. So he's going to become embroiled in tribal conflict. The closest to what we used to do before the settlers came is what they do in California. You got a problem with me? Run that fade. Run that fade. Meet me over here and run that fade. Right? And if you about what that life like you say you is, win, lose, or draw, when it's over, you're going to be a man. You're going to take your L or take your W, and you're going to take your ass home and continue to go on about your business. If you feel like the fade wasn't fair because his skills was better than yours, go train. Get in better shape.
That's right. So I took
right. Let him know you coming back. I'm coming back. You got down this time, but let him know you coming back. You asking for a rematch. Where do you think that's come from in boxing? Rematch. Right? All that's tribal culture that they monetize or villainize.
That's what I see.
So back in the day, when you go look at Larry and Angel Bay, they all had somebody with them that throw them hands on their behalf, because they didn't want their leaders throwing hands where they end up jacked up. So they all had a fighter. They had them hands, right? And they can't be no slouch with them hands themselves, because you might be somewhere out and your fighter ain't with you. You got to be able as a man to defend yourself, right? That's the tribal way. All of the gunplay come in and the killing each other because the nigga that took the fade couldn't stand to lose. Now his ego hurt, and ain't none of his OGs telling him what's right, because we got outsiders in our community saying, man, I wouldn't take that. I'd blow his brains out if he whooped me like that. But our OGs didn't raise us like that. They raised us. You get your ass whooped, you go figure out where you lost that, then you go back. Or as our mamas used to tell us, you're going to fight that nigga every day till you win.
Yep. My grandma put you in the car, drive your behind back crying now.
Back to their house.
Don't come around here crying. Oh, yeah, you finna go back around here and fight. Yeah.
So
got that in the gown.
if we really, really understand our history and how we move as a people, we know that when the unity come, when we see the chiefs together, all of the vice lords chief, they got 5 chiefs, right? Stone's got 1 king. Angel Bay. Crips got one king, Big Tookie. Folks got one king, right? In some of the subsections, you got some princes, you got some dons, right? But only one king. We had two kings, but one of the kings was removed from his position of power under some suspicious circumstances. King David, the king of all kings, right? And King David, if he would have been still around, would have been very close alliances with all of the above, because the goal is to bring all of the clans together in order to remember what they did to take our knowledge from us. How did they brainwash us? Once we figure it out, one of us gonna come back and tell the rest of us they tricked us by putting people that look like us among us to start beef between us and then leave us standing there holding the bag. Look, I had some sisters. My big sister, she'd go down there, and if it get too thick, she'll fight with you. She'll fight right along with you. Because sometimes you be to whoop somebody and they homeboy feels some type of way, and he felt like he should have been the one fighting you. And now you exhausted from the first fight. Now you doing what's called double duty on the fade, right? Then what if you get down on him? Now they need to put two of them on you because one of them can't whoop you. And now we got what's called a gang fight.
Right? They call them a 2 fade minimum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
2 fade minimum around here, cuz I mean you gotta fade 2 niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta get down. Well, how you get down, like I say.
If you go back and watch COINTELPRO's disruption of the community by targeting the developing leaders, it's gonna be so obvious what we was trying to do and what they was trying to stop us from doing. Right? We trying to provide for our families and our communities, and they trying to keep us from doing that so that they can exploit and suck all of the wealth out of the community. They got to make us believe that they the ones that's legitimate, even though they not. So they use uniforms to make them look like they legitimate. But your uniform don't make you more legitimate than my blood, right, buddy?
Right. Hey, Lord of Flyness, he not talking about David from the Bible. He talking about King David Barksdale.
Yeah. Talking about David Barksdale.
Yeah. They think you talking about King David from the Bible. Same thing, though. If you want to really look at it,
if you want to look at it, because we can use that as an example to examine how they was using that Messiah search in order to target which leaders to take out.
Facts.
Right, and you got to remember, in the Bible, King Saul was hunting King David. King Saul represents the government. King David represents the government to come. Right, so we could still use the same paradigm, right? We just was not as abreast of the covert means of subjugation and subterfuge within the community by using people that looked the part, but they not us. And they was the ones pulling the strings, and they came down to tell us the lies in order to make sure that we believed it because somebody that looked like us said it.
Somebody asked okay, after we got Donald Trump in there now. We know we got the game down. We know the Federal Reserve. We know they put us in the Wizard of Oz. We know the matriarch is coming back in. They're saying, could we see a war, a world, or another big war coming, or like a battle, like something like what?
Listen, we've been fighting a war underground for the last 5.5 years.
Go ahead.
The average person have no freaking clue of the amount of massive military movement within the inside of the earth that's been taking place for 5.5, almost 7 years.
Go ahead.
Right? Ever since Donald Trump took power and gave them the green light to go ahead and breach those tunnels.
Yeah.
And get them babies out of there. This is what this is all about. This is what's been going on. Right? The war already over with. And you can wait on it. They're going to use all of the satire of the news to use it to segue into the real disclosure of what really happened. That's why you was having earthquakes in places that don't have earthquakes.
North Carolina. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep, they would have one up by Philadelphia. Them was tunnels. All you got to do, if you go back, go to 2020, 2019, 2021. They got a map, it's called a seismological map that measures earthquakes. And all of the ones that was being demolition, the signature to look for is between 2.3 to 2.6 on the Richter scale. They won't never be higher than that. And they won't be lower than that. Anything higher than that you have a sinkhole coming, because now it's if it's a tunnel that they blew that caused a sinkhole, it's going to be a bigger blast, but it's going to be a sinkhole develop after it because they filling in some of them caves.
Man, I just heard about a man house falling in. He was man was sleeping in his room.
So this, if you find a sinkhole in a place where it don't seem normal to you, go to the seismograph and look back the week leading up to that and look for 2.3. No, for it to be a sinkhole, they got to be 2.6 to 3.5 earthquake. And that's when the sinkhole will form at the top of it. So in the week before that, right, it should be almost ground zero. And you'll be able to see it's a 3.5. Yeah, that's the sinkhole. They blew a big, giant cavern. Some of the caverns, you could put these skyscrapers in them and won't touch the top. It's huge. Right? And then you got people underground that's helping us, coming from the inner earth, trying to run the ones that was in the median earth out, flush them out so they run into the hands of the special forces groups from around the world that was fighting them underground. It was a coordinated attack from people in Shambhala and Egg Arthur with the Earth Alliance, because they part of the Earth Alliance. In the Galactic Council on cleansing the Earth. They got to get it done. The reason why you don't have a sudden disclosure is because the cleanup is taking way longer than anticipated. They originally thought it was going to take between 2 and 5 years. 3 years into the Trump administration, they realized it was really going to take more like a 8 to 10 year period. So this is when they decide to interject the 4 years of Democratic rule under Kamala and Sleepy Joe. And then they can play out the narrative of the fall of Babylon's harlot by using that same satirical stage show. And now they to the part where now they got to start telling them about the deep state actors that was tried in Gitmo. They got to run the tribunals. The people got to see who was tried, what they was tried for, their crimes, what they did. All this got to come out. It ain't just us saying it. They have to show it to the people eventually anyway. It's just that we trying to coach them to pay enough attention to accelerate the process.
And they was wondering why Sleepy Joe stepped down, and we heard that his son pled guilty to working with the Russians.
Not only that, they say Joe Biden pardoned him, but guess what? Somebody filed some paperwork with Congress or with the Supreme Court to block the pardon. That ain't never happened in the history of the pardon system.
No.
Nobody's never blocked the pardon before. I mean that all that was satirical. That's not true.
Okay.
Right? Because they using that because the Hunter Biden case reveals they indicted Joe already for the same case.
Yep, they did.
Right. So since he under indictment and he haven't been the president the whole time.
Right. That's right.
Right. They've been running psychological operation using deep fake and skin masks, and people falling for it. Right. So whatever going on, they doing it to prove a point of how ignorant some of us can actually be.
They tell us right to our face what what's going on. Then they tell us, oh, look at Bobby and Whitney. Point over at Bobby and Whitney, but the whole time they over here robbing us blind. Are still running some kind of underscheme game and fraud, pretty much treason.
Look, they will kill a celebrity to get something politically past the people.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they will kill the politician in order to make a celebrity out of somebody.
Hey, you heard about that guy that's a part of that was the head of the health department, and they say, oh yeah, well he got somebody killed him, and they say, oh yeah, the guy that killed him, he used the silencer. I said, man, that's a hit. The guy that's the head of the work CEO of the World Health Department, the World Health Association.
It was definitely a hit.
Yeah, the dude had a silencer in New York, and he got hit in Manhattan.
You know why they killed him, don't you?
Why?
Because when Trump won the election, he promised to give the public the report. He was on his way to the press conference to spill all of the fraud of the whole medical industry. He was finna come clean and spill the beans from the manufacturing of the because he made a deal with the government, with the Trump administration specifically, that if Trump got back in office and that they, instead of them just coming, arresting them and putting him through the tribunals, that he would be the whistleblower that give the whole medical establishment up. That's why Bobby Kennedy was appointed. That was his green light.
Yeah.
Right. That was telling him, now it's time for you to come out and tell the people. In the deep state, I told you they got Manchurian candidates everywhere.
They activated that nigga, got him up out.
They just activated one out there at a 7-day Adventist elementary school. Now, remember when I was going over that information, I said that the elementary schools, they have to use an external shooter because the children too young for them to use as a shooter. And this was an external shooter, and they say he unalived himself.
Yeah, that sound like Manchurian action. Yep, that sound like a part of the end, what they had in the program to do. Do this because most of them like that. You notice like at least 70% of them school shootings, especially if they Manchurian candidates, they unalive themselves. Right after,
that's part of their program.
Yeah, it's part of the program.
It's called the no capture fail safe. That means that you can't interview them to find out who sent them.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the same thing they do with them. It's some agents, CIA agents. They train them to be just like that. Man, that's crazy though. Yeah, so that guy get hit, and he's about to tell about the Obamacare and all that, how they was rigging.
No. I'm talking about everything from how almost all of the illnesses we know of is created in the laboratory. All of the viruses, bacteria, they grown, crossbred, reworked, all in the laboratory. Then he was gonna tell them how they when they create the virus or the bacteria, they gotta create a cure. It's chemical and biological warfare.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He was finna expose the entirety of the medical system to how they control the doctors and make the doctors because most doctors is not there to harm nobody.
Yeah.
Most doctors is generally good-hearted people that want to help.
Yeah.
And then you got the ones just naturals at it that just want the money.
Yeah.
Right. But the ones that want to help, they are under a contract.
Yeah.
Through the AMA. All this stuff would have been exposed. He was finna give you the whole full rundown of the medical industry from big pharma to your local hospital. He was finna spill the beans.
Yeah.
They couldn't allow that to happen.
Nah,
but it's still gonna come out.
Yeah, it's gonna come out. You already know. It's that time. But he was finna spill $1 trillion operation though. See, ain't nothing to put $1 million, 100,000 on the guy that's finna try to take down $1 trillion operation. Man, they put $2-3 million on him easy and didn't even. They was glad to do it, and probably would have had a cup of coffee right after the fact.
Look, the biggest problem they have is people that push cleanses. Yeah. Because most of our sicknesses was given to us in a dormant state to be activated on a time schedule, just like time release capsules.
Right.
They got time release illnesses. And some people not gonna get it till they 60. The doctor tell you in the hospital, he say, yeah, you got this particular situation, but when you get about 60, it'll turn into this.
Yeah, yeah.
This a time release illness.
Dang, bro.
It's a lot. Like I want the people to find out a lot of that stuff from the people that was doing it.
Yeah.
Because to discover all of the things that they are doing, and you telling them, most people be like, that's too much.
Yeah.
It ain't that you don't know to have. It's like the Tuskegee experiment, man. I used to tell people about the Tuskegee experiment when I first learned about it. And they were like, yeah, right. The government wasn't giving nobody syphilis.
Right.
Then this came out in a news report on the news. And I'm minding my business, people coming from everywhere talking about, man, they was giving people syphilis, man.
Yep.
The same people I just told. Same people called me crazy.
Yeah. It's a part of colonization.
And and some of them came back and said you was right. But most of them act like they had just heard it for the first time. Because I was crazy when I said it, so it didn't count.
Yeah, that's part of extermination. And them people, man, and the way them people was looking when they was getting injected with that shit, they look like they didn't even have a clue to what's going on, man. And them folks was laughing like they was smiling like these niggas don't know what we inject these niggas with some poison. They don't even know it. And then right after we kill them off, we're gonna take their land and we're gonna steal their diamonds and all and natural gas they got here. These country bucking Negroes don't know what they got.
And look, somebody named Tour.
They do it in Africa. They do it in Africa more than anywhere. And they do it in Africa more than anywhere. Where they go with that same little scheme. We coming to give you a jab, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jab
hey, look, somebody named Tory Wheelhite said after the assassination they lit up the Rockefeller Christmas tree down the street.
Damn.
No matter how random it might be, ain't none of this shit no coincidence.
Nah.
They do stuff on the schedule, and it's all to what they call manifest prophecy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that the government executed that Rothschild dude. The house caught on fire. Somebody asked, was that a hit?
Yeah.
I believe they burned his house down. I believe they lasered it.
I heard something they shot Mike with a laser. That's what Dick Griggs said. Dick Gregory.
Mm-hmm. I think the hardest thing for people to believe is the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
You know, but they wrote about it in government documents. All you have to do is read the MK Ultra file. Find out who Dr. Estabrooks is, because he was the one who discovered how to implant something in you through hypnosis that you don't even know you finna deliver this message, and you never knew you delivered it. And after you delivered it, you never knew why you had it.
Right.
You don't know nothing about it. But you told the message to the intended person to get the message.
Right.
And you didn't know you gave him the message. He got the message. The person that sent you knew he sent the message, and he knew his man got the message, but you had no clue what he talking about. Them actual documents, because some people say, well, you got it out the movie, so it's fiction. Right? Because they made a movie about Manchurian Candidate. I think it was Denzel Washington that. The Manchurian Candidate. They had another one back in the 50s. I think Tony Curtis was in it.
Yeah,
When they-
Manchurian Candidate did Washington. Yep.
Mhm. We forgot about the side now brainwashing of the Vietnamese the Koreans during the Korean War, when they call it the reorganizing of your political philosophy, and it translates as to wash the brain, where we get our common term brainwashing from. This is actual stuff you can go investigate and look up.
Facts.
Right? Like this, we having a conversation, and we didn't come like to bring the receipts. So I would have had all this stuff to show it to you, so you don't think I'm making it up.
Yep. We already did a tape on it, really raw. Like the tape you talking about there. We got the receipts already. We showed the receipts on the tape.
Mm-hmm. But see, they think I just supposed to keep all the receipts every time I talk. Some people do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just be having a conversation like we're doing now, and just teaching in general, and I tell you where it's at. But they figure if I tell them where it's at, it's not the same as showing them where it's at, because they don't know how to go find it themselves.
Right.
But I tell you what, look,
y'all. Shout out.
You know, if the people in this country really understood the level of innocent Charles Manson was, it would really shake the foundation of everything they believe. Charles Manson was what's called the first whistleblower on record. He was the first one telling us about the LSD program, why he was using LSD, by the way, that he was getting from the government, by the way, that the government admitted to giving to him to give to the children of the family, that he was supposed to be formulating a war with Joseph Senku, who later became the Symbionese Liberation Army. All this is government records.
Man, this is deep.
Right? But we don't want to read no government records. We rather go read some Louis L'Amour or some Anne Rice, if we read at all.
Right.
Right? Very few people is nosy as me to go looking and saying what the government say about it. This nigga put it in the book, but what did the government say about it?
Right.
Right. And when you pull the government document, now you got the action. I put a post up and I said, we exposed them lying liars and the lies they lied about, and signed they lying ass names to the lies they told. Right? This how you find out who the dirt dealers is, by finding out who created the condition, who told him to create the condition. So if they telling you that it's an operational government program, formerly known as Artichoke, but because they almost got exposed, they changed the name to MK Ultra. Right? Now, when they changed the name to MK Ultra, they drafted all of the greatest scientists from Canada and the United States because they are in a war, Cold War-like condition with the rise of this guy they call Adolf Hitler. While he's rising, he's doing psychological research too, that he was privy to through the Thule Society, and all of modern psychiatry and psychology is derived from temple priest rites. And if you don't know what the temple priest taught, you would never equate what the psychiatrist, the psychologist, your AA, your ENA, all that is pyramid priest culture. If you go back to the Zulu tribe, when the men come back from war, they got a detox period that they have to go through before they matriculate back into society. Now, why would you need that? We are all post-traumatic stress disorder from a 500-year protracted struggle across generations against an enemy that looked like us, looking us in our face, telling us that other people is the enemy that don't look like us, and got us so convinced that while they killing us, pretending to be us, and blaming it on the people that don't look like us, we ain't never paying attention to why we can't pull ourselves up by our bootstraps that this nigga stole. He stole my boots, but he want me to pull myself up by my bootstraps.
Cold nigga, that's it. That's in live for you, boy. That's in live for you. Type of nigga to tell you, hey, he'll tell you, hey, he go $1, go to the store and buy me a bag of chips. And then he'll call to the store before you get there and tell him, hey, it's a nigga there for to come up there with a red shirt on. Don't sell them no chips. Just to see how it turn out and laugh at, just so he can laugh about it. What type of niggas is that, Roy, man? You know, then you told you sent me up here to get the chips. Then you call people and tell them don't sell me none.
We call them practical jokers.
You know what I'm saying? Practical jokers. That's it, Liv.
So they asked about Branch Davidians and David Koresh. The thing that I like to tell people is when you see that video, when they saying, I say I'm Jesus Christ, ask to see about 30 seconds before that. Because he gonna tell you that the government is telling people that I said I am Jesus Christ, but they cut everything off but the I am Jesus Christ to justify blowing this man up. They know there ain't no pale-faced, stringy-haired man gonna ever be Jesus, because Jesus is ISIS. So when they have these people that they accuse to be Jesus, that they so-called ceremonially crucifying, right? They not telling you that the reason why they automatically know this person ain't the Christ is because he the wrong gender, he the wrong skin complexion, and the wrong hair texture, right? So they automatically know, but they always use the Christ narrative in order to label people a heretic that they want to execute. And what he was actually doing that had the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms there is he was buying gun replicas of heavy military artillery and converting them into fully operational, and he was selling it to the militias. So the ATF traced militia raids that they had with various militia groups that they slaughtered, like they did them people at Ruby Ridge that had the right to defend themselves and their property. right? But the government don't care about your rights. When it's time to slaughter you, they just gonna slaughter you. And they use this Jesus thing as the cover story to convince people that David Koresh was totally insane and that he was doing all of these nefarious things. Some of it he might have been doing, but he wasn't doing all of that stuff they say he was doing. Because once they get him to the point where he might become a martyr, they have to hang him in effigy next, which means assassinate the entirety of his character so that there will be no what you call copycat groups rising up to avenge him. They practice on him, but their goal is people like Larry Hoover. Right? So they want to know, how do we get Angel Bay? Go back and look at this stuff, and they literally said they listened to them long enough to make up a code off the language that they was talking, right? And that they created a code language for the Peace Stone Nation. The government just telling you they doing it and that they using this to entrap Jeff Ford. They telling you in the documentary that this is what they did. They brought in linguists and specialists from around the country to sit there and analyze their natural rhythm of language and to come up with a code that they can use to justify a sting operation that they used to arrest a man that's in prison and people that they called his accomplices and accused them of terrorist activity in a terrorist plot that the CIA created. Because they tell you that they did it to get Jeff Ford. They admitted it, and he's still in there, and the government is fully 100% aware that just his presence alone affects how these soldiers feel as a man. We don't cry free Angel Bay, Jeff Ford, because the government's effigy hanging tactic, in his case, he's the Godfather buried alive, right? Benny Lee squeaked out their grasp. They had him. He got out. Willie Lord got out and escaped their grasp, but he wouldn't act right by his family, so his family did what they did to him, right? And they still got other kings in the Vice Lord Nation that's functional and operational to aid and assist the fellow righteous brothers in the rebuilding of our communities, but they don't want to be a part of it if the government involved, because every time the government get involved, they FRS up. They took our breakfast programs, used them in our community long enough to take them to somebody else's community before they cut them off in ours. We didn't see it coming. They gave Angel Bay money. The government gave him money to do what he was doing just so they can accuse him of fraud for doing what he did with the money. It's a grant. It was a grant from the government to pay for the work he was doing already in the community. Look it up. I'm not making none of this up. And if there's any people from Chicago that's in the comments, tell them, am I making this up? They told on themselves. I didn't write none of them government documents. They wrote them. And they told you what they did, how they did it. And it's the same MO they used. They burned up and blew up Philadelphia, moved Brother John Africa. And Ramona Africa here to tell the story, so y'all don't have to believe me. We've been in a war.
Yeah, we're not slaves. We prisoners of war. We were never slaves. We were prisoners of war.
We've been at war for 500 years. The Gullah War just ended up having to go clandestine because we had to get a different type of feel for the strategies they was using. And this is what made them call Chief Pontiac Rod Hayes, because one of my specialties is tracking the source of nefarious sorcery.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah.
I don't have a job because I'm better than nobody. I had a job because that's what I was trained to do from birth.
You call
So now, if I'm identifying the conjure, I'm telling you whose blood the Constitution is written in to make us all go into this placid consciousness and allow them able to rule over us. They wouldn't have been able to rule otherwise. And I tell you where the agreement came right out of their Bible, where it say the blood of the righteous shall not be spilled in vain. And they told you Crispus Attucks was the first one to die in the American Revolution, a nigga, and they don't never want you to forget it because they got to give you the opportunity to discover first blood. It's blood in, blood out. Right? First blood was one of us. That means it was our shit. Then while they doing their political campaign with a George Washington first president narrative, they in the boardrooms of secret societies draining the blood of Crispus Attucks in the buckets and using quill pens to re-script it word by word, letter by letter, page by page. In that Constitution that's sitting right there, you can see what it looked like by looking up the George Washington Masonic Memorial Museum. And when they show you the Constitution in there, you see that blood is faded. The contract is over, baby.
Yeah.
So it was a conjure war, but we had some other stuff going on. We had other conjures that was interfering with our ability to see clearly the problem. They had to be undone first before the final conclusion of the big conjure, which was the Haitian revolutionary conjure, was still open. The broken mirror to break the sisterhoods up was still open. These people got to close, their descendants have to close the contract. And it falls to the duty of the descendant that has the most similarities in genome sequence to the original person who executed the spell or curse. Because only the person who cast the spell can break the spell. And the person genetics that's closer to it can channel the person enough to get permission to break the curse. But you have to do it by reenacting or re-walking in the steps of your ancestor. Right? So when you understand that the Huguenots, the French, were the ones we was fighting on the Louisiana territory, the same ones that the Haitians was fighting, and that they had Toussaint in custody for a period of time before the war got thick. This had to be reverse engineered by a descendant. That means that somebody descending of Toussaint L'Ouverture, who's closest in genetic makeup to Toussaint, will be able to channel him enough to live the suffering of Toussaint L'Ouverture in the breaking of the Haitian revolutionary conjure. So then you see what happened to divine insight. Because the custody of the French is a prerequisite in walking in the path of the particular ancestor. And this how you have to know how to break the curses. So he getting stronger, you know, and we know he gonna get out from under it because we knew it was some BS when it happened. We knew what they came at him for. You know, we know why they made everybody move how they moved in the situation. It wasn't no coincidence that he was instructed to isolate himself from spiritual powerhouses who could lend some spiritual support to the attack he was under. So they got to make sure he isolate them away from him first. Strategy. This is being done strategically. It's not haphazardly. It's not somebody just stumbled across the brother and said, "Cuss them brothers out." No, snakes slid up under him, fed him some venom, and played the victim to play on his masculine traits where he defend the women he respect. Right? Then it put him in the adverse position because he know now that he done isolated himself. He now been Tucsonic. He been captured on the French ship, isolated by the conquistadors and the Huguenots while he tried to figure out how to get free. It's just a reenactment. Because of the blood and the right, you have to walk the path of the ancestors to walk out of the condition that trapped us in order to free us from the condition that we trapped in. Right? All of the people that was present, descendants from the night where they made the pact to conjure the spirits from across the crossroads to assist them to oust the enemy for the final liberation. From there, they sent soldiers to Florida and set up Little Haiti. Their appointed post in the war was Little Haiti. That's why they never left, because they had to hold a post, because the only time they're going to collectively leave is to rebuild Haiti. It's the only thing that will be strong enough for their heartstrings to take them back home. Now, the Bookman's role in it, he's from Jamaica. And this is why Jamaicans is the only police force that the Haitians let over there. But we not paying attention because they got us thinking that Dessalines, Barbecue, son of Dessalines, is a gangbanger. We don't know he a tribal leader walking in the ancestral path to redeem the land from the clutches of the colonizers. But with all of this stuff going on, right, the Bookman got to go deal with the curse that's put on Jekyll Island. Because the same ones that he fought in Jamaica that led him to Haiti is the same ones that landed in Florida and found that place called Jekyll Island and tried to put the curse on the land. Right? And now they got the three sisters that come after them doing the ceremonial female parts of the conjure. And one of the sisters was the one who actually was blood sacrifice for victory. And she was reliving it until we started working on reverse engineering the conjure. Now she's able to be fully present in the present for herself. All this is side effects of the recovery, but we still playing out a process, reverse engineering all of the conjures. So we about there. Then the conjures be removed, then the people start to move correctly automatically. What Baba say? Right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding produces right action. Right? And then you got what's called the 8 eightfold Buddhist path of righteousness, right? And so we know that there's a formula, but if we don't use it, we can't benefit from it. And that's why we come on here and we find out information that most people don't know and put it in the public domain. Tribal tradition is the most amount of the tribe's people that can get the understanding of what's going on. We can collectively then unite mentally first in order to see the problem clearly together. And together we execute the solution, because if you can see the problem, the solution is present. And this is the moment of truth in the bullfight, where the bull for the first time see the matador is not the cape, and the cape is not the matador. Now he's looking at him dead in his eye at the moment of truth. If that matador don't act right with this last strike, he out of there. It's the moment of truth. This is where we at. All of these cases, like Big Tookie case, is the same MO as Geronimo Pratt case. The police got caught bragging about setting Geronimo Pratt up, and he was locked up 27 years. Right? Go back and read Mumia case in New Jersey. Right? He got bopped upside the head by the police. The lady looking out the window said the other police shot the police. The police that hit Mumia in the head turned around and shot his partner. And by that time, Mumia loopy sitting on the curb. They told her, lady, you didn't see that. They never put her statement in the report, but it was still in the file. And coming to find out, it was part of a crooked cop investigation, right? It came out that the cop that got killed was the straight up cop that was telling on the crooked cop. And they still won't let that man out. Got him forever locked up. We know they doing this. The only reason why somebody would do this much stuff to a people is they at war. Look what they did to Asada. Right? Why they want to kill Asada? She's part of the leadership of the land. That's her territory. That's her queen's land right there. The New Jersey, the turnpike. Grab a goose by the neck. Flip the T on the turnpike.
They said they were going to get rid of the chiefs, so in order they had to get rid of the clan mothers because the clan mothers picked the chiefs.
Look, people, these names that I'm dropping, go look these people up. Look up Lucy Parson. Most feared Black woman in America by the FBI. I'm not making that up. So why was she so feared? When you start reading their story, they're going to tell you that she was a woman, that she was an Indian woman. But when they tell you the highlights, they tell she was the most feared Black woman. They knew she was a tribal mother. She just didn't know how to extend her reach because she didn't have her personal strategists like Empress Rarebird got now, where we can make a further reach by explaining it to enough clans members that the natural nature of the clans, we begin to wake up and stop participating in the shenanigans. So eventually it's going to come to a point where our people is just going to leave a blank statement across the internet. I'm organic to this land, and I do not consent to y'all presence, period. And once we start rolling that, and different people doing it, everybody doing it on their page, type it on your page, I am organic to this land, and I do not consent with your presence.
Right.
Take over the internet. They hate when we take over the internet for some reason. It's like they butt sore if we take over the algorithms in the internet. We ain't understood the strategies that they play by. The reason that they don't like us taking the algorithm over, because the algorithm directs the flow of their currency through the network. And if we start affecting their bottom dollar, we hit them in the pockets. And when a person got a big ego, the worst thing you can do is hit him in the pockets, unless you're going to hit him directly in his ego. Right? So the take over the algorithm, that is like a feared approach of the general masses awakening. And for the ones who ain't originally from here that support us, all they got to do is say, I support the organic to the land, and I do not consent to you motherfuckers' presence either. But you know what? We be done took over the whole internet. They be like, who started this shit? The tribe spontaneously decided that they was tired of y'all playing in their face, and they don't consent to this BS no more. Take it over.
Man, if all of us start, it's knowledge, like they just, like somebody just said.
Look,
in the crowd.
Everybody think it got to be a whole lecture. No, them TikTok bites the coldest pieces on the internet.
Yeah,
excerpts from these lectures that we do like this.
Yeah.
TikTok blowing up. That's why they trying to shut TikTok down in America.
Yeah.
You think that's just an accident?
Nah. Yeah, that's right.
Right. If everybody just put a 20-second clip and say, I'm organic to the land, and I no longer consent to y'all presence, and the people that support it say, I'm a supporter of the organic people to the land, and I don't consent to y'all presence either. I've made my alliance. That's all you gotta say. Then just take over the internet. Mm-hmm. When it hit the news, that's when you know they crying for mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you know they crying for mercy. As soon as it hit the news, you took the algorithm over.
Yeah.
It's a new craze coming out, and all of the original people to the land don't want us here no more. What do we do?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Hey,
but we gotta remember, nobody owns. Hold on, Elder. We gotta remember, don't nobody own the land. We caretakers of the land, from the land.
I'll say, could you break down who these guys are we want to leave? You know what I'm saying? In depth.
Well, we want the corporate legal fictions to leave, the fraudulent judges, the fake police.
Right.
Right. We want our autonomous control back.
Right.
We want to be able to restructure local government and have the network of federal ties to other local governments to aid and assist each other in dealing with our local communities.
Right.
Right. We have to get rid of this legal fiction that's already dead. It's already gone.
Right.
Bankruptcy was closed out in 2017.
Right.
The liquidation of assets and the return of assets been taking place ever since. In your face. That's why the White House was on Zillow. It wasn't on Zillow just to be on Zillow. It was part of the foreclosure. And when it first went up, they told you they foreclosed on it because the corporation was crumbling. But too many people started noticing. Some people out there that got the original advertisement from when it had the foreclosure bar at the top telling you that the White House had been foreclosed on, and the amount that was the value of the White House that it was for sale for that's the amount of money that was foreclosed on and property value that was stolen from the tribes. We first had to reclaim DC with a totem pole because we don't operate under the law of the flag.
Yeah.
DC proper was under the law of the flag. By staking a totem pole, we assert our jurisdictional right on that 10 square miles that was the embassy for the Crown of England and the Vatican to govern the what they call international police force and controlling the people of the land and to administer what they call law and order, which is actually a term in reference to the systems of levies and liens instituted through the judicial system under the order of the King George in Savannah, Georgia, I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When they told them that they had to use those contracts to systematically take everything from us. All of it is tied together, but the difficult part is for the way that they teach us to be one-dimensional in our thinking, we can't see the multifaceted dimensions of the plot. But the games like chess is supposed to break you out of the psychology of the linear one-way thinking. So that's why it's good to practice chess. Get you a chess computer and learn the game.
Man, on that note, man, we about to get ready to get up out of here. We over the 2-hour mark. We almost at 2.5 hours. And this right here was another banger. Man, we're going to be back, man, because we're doing a lot on birthrights right now. We pretty much trying to reel the people on home, man, to get their shit back, man. We sick and tired of these people, these bastards on our land, man. They free grazers, I tell you. Free grazing our big mama's land. And then we told them, you can park, hey, they asked, can we park our shit on your land for a little while? We said, yeah, you can park over yonder. But make sure you be decent. Make sure you be decent, you know, when you come on Big Mama's land. You can't come on doing anything you want to do now. Them suckers come on trying to do whatever they want to do. And we told them, now we're going to tell you now one time only. Big Mama don't allow no free grazing on her land. All right? We told them, man. So now time is up, man. I mean, they broke the leasing agreements. Like you said, Rod, they didn't honor no treaties.
Okay, so as a active chief on the land under Article 77 of the Iroquois Confederacy and being a certified war chief, chief of security as a trainee in the Nation of Growth and Development, elevating my status to supreme strategist, right, in the brain banging university's dean.
Yeah.
I use my intelligence to come in on behalf of my collective clans and my clan families across the land to tell them people, Article 77, you got to go.
Eviction notice, man.
We served them.
They've been served.
They've been served. But remember, sometimes it's a whole lot of heavy lifting in an eviction. And that's why it might seem like
the Pope washed his hands with it. The Pope said he don't want no more to do with it. He told Obama them, look here, man, you know, y'all been messing over these people. You know, y'all know we did wrong. It's time to go ahead and get these people their stuff back and leave them alone, man.
Hey,
Pope
look,
wash his hands.
I got to say this. Somebody put in the comments that they think Billy and Terrence are agents. Anybody that you think an agent, this is how you look for an agent. What agency would he be working for, performing the type of work that he does, right? And the information that he's generating, is he doing it for educational purpose or financial gain or to steer social ideology? Breaking old paradigms is one of the things that the system don't want. Right?
Right.
I'm not gonna never say the way this system is set up now that anybody is not an agent, but agents are normally identifiable because they normally have an underlying agenda that if you watch them for a couple of days, couple of hours, you'll be able to identify the underlying agenda.
Yeah.
Right. And once you know the underlying agenda, you can tell how they move if they mean it or not.
Yeah.
Right. If they doing something and they don't mean it, that means they doing something for somebody else.
Yeah, going through the motions.
Right. But if they doing something and they mean it and it's coming from a true place, then can't nobody tell them how to do it.
That's right.
And they passionate about what they do.
That's right.
Right. Normally, those types, people that break paradigms and challenge the status quo, when they use them as an agent, that's part of the Hegelian dialectic problem resolution, problem reaction solution. But when you use that lens, you got to look at what the problem that's being created, the reaction that they expect to have, and then match that to see if it's the desired effect.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the desired effect, you know how the solution is going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand that, you'll be able to pick it up so quick, but you got to review it a couple times in your head how it works. Your subconscious mind learn the skill, it'll do it without your conscious mind telling it to anyway. But you got to first practice it like you want to know how to do it. And when you get done practicing the mental exercise, you forget about it. That's when the subconscious start practicing it.
Right.
Because the subconscious say, that old short-term memory is so forgetful. Let me keep doing this because he ain't gonna remember to do it. And that's how. Yeah.
Hey man, we about to get up out of here, man. Shit. Man, that boy Rob be going in, Rob. I'm trying to figure out how you. I'm surprised your head ain't the size of Yaku, Rob. I'll hit you though. You supposed to have your head supposed to be double the size it is. I'm telling you.
Look, it ain't the size of the stick, it's the magic in the wand.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, you can ask Don Juan.
That's fire. Hey, y'all. Hey, we had about 5,000 people on tonight, man. We got 1,500 and something on right now. Hey, y'all, if Rod don't do it for the money, but if you want to show Rod some love, and if y'all send him $1, man, it'll put him in the game right there. 15. We want to send him more than that. You know, that's fine too, man. Well, we ain't asking for name. I mean, but if you just want to show us some love and keep us doing what we're doing, you know, show them some love. Now we about to get up out here. We're gonna be back with another one, man. We're gonna come back with another. Keep y'all updated on the land. As of right now, we pretty much got everybody up to speed so far on what's happening. Man, you should be seeing all this shit transpire here coming up, especially coming into 2025. You should see pretty much the closing down of the government. So don't be scared to set up your own hustle, man, and get your money out that bank. Because these banks, now I'm telling you, man, these banks have to be tricky in 2025, man, on how they gonna handle your money. So, you already know about they know real money anyway, but we're gonna come back on that one. But on that note, man, we about to get up out of here because I'm about to go to the other side.
I'm about to rustle me up some vittles.
Huh?
I said I'm about to rustle me up some vittles.
The vittles.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we better get up in. Hey, if you want to know about the quantum financial system, we already got a whole tapes out on that. Just go scroll down, man, on the video side. We covered everything over here, Young Yellow TV. Hey, man, we about to get up out of here. But I wouldn't put my money in no damn crypto, no imaginary money. I'm just saying. Or no block and chain. I don't want. What I like getting the block and a damn chain. They put the block. They call that the chain gang down in Mississippi. They got block and chain on the nigga with a scrappy suit on. So I don't want no damn. I mean, it's different perspectives on it. That's just my perspective. A nigga tell me he finna give me a block and a chain. That sound like he finna put me in jail. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But we out of here, man. We
Yes,
say
sir.
peace and love throughout the balanced universe to all. Free the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z York. Free Larry Hoover. Free Jeff Ford. Right? Free Rashard Jamal. Right? Free all our political brothers, man, that's been fighting on behalf of us. You know what I'm saying? And all peace to all the brothers who died on behalf of us. You know what I'm saying? Word to my big mama. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we about to get up out of here. We love you all. Peace and love. Wadu.
We ain't gang banging, we brain banging. What do?
Wadu. Oh yeah, that was